This episode is brought to you by Bumble. So, you want to find someone you're compatible with, specifically someone who's ready for a serious connection, totally open to having kids in the future, is a tall, rock-climbing Libra, and loves rom-coms with vegan pizzas on Tuesdays just as much as you do. Bumble knows that you know exactly what's right for you. So whatever it is you're looking for, Bumble's features can help you find it. Date now on Bumble.
So here are 10 famous people with Aspergers. All that coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to the Asper world. My name is Dan. I have Asperger syndrome, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia, and I make weekly content on this type of subject. So if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button by clicking the notification bell down below. And if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to give this page a follow. And if you're watching on Instagram, make sure to follow this account for more autism video content. Okay, so welcome back guys. What's going on? The place where we think differently daily. What's going on? Different thinkers. Guys, if you haven't already, I have a free PDF download book of my essentials strategies for autism life hacks, which you can download for free from autismhacks.net. Go and do that right now. Guys, excited. I haven't done one of these kind of like celebrities with autism kind of videos for a long time. Let me show my focus here, guys. So I haven't done one of these videos for a long time where I'm doing like celebrities with autism and stuff like that. So I've picked out 10 historical icons that are on the autism spectrum, and I want to go through them with you right now. This is super dope. Guys, if you have anything to add question-wise, you can always pop me a comment down here. I read every single one. Or you can hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. I message everybody back, and so I'm always open for DMs. Okay, so here are 10 influential historian icons who are famous and they have Asperger syndrome. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so the first one, most notable and probably most common, is Albert Einstein. He's an influential scientist, and he, did the theory of relativity, and he pretty much is just an absolute gem of a guy. Albert Einstein was very notably a bit of a different thinker, and he was a scientist who did amazing things, and he was also on the autism spectrum, because basically these were all done by people looking back at people who are historical figures and icons, and then kind of like applying the same kind of diagnostic criteria as they would today. So that being said, Albert Einstein would be on the autism spectrum if he was run through the diagnostic today. Number 2 is Sir Isaac Newton. Now Isaac Newton, the guy with the apple who fell down, he was kind of like the guy who discovered gravity, and again, an influential scientist who had kind of a bizarre history. He actually at one point made his landlord create a staircase into the back of his house so he wouldn't have to see anybody on the way in, because he wanted to just avoid human contact in all possible cases. He was just a very eccentric but very brilliant man, and an influential scientist, obviously for weights and physics and chemistry. But in terms of Isaac Newton, again, the things like social isolation and trying to get away from social situations, and his bizarre personality did mark him down as being an autistic person who would have been diagnosed with something like Asperger syndrome if he was still alive today. Okay guys, so number 3 is Hans Christian Andersen. Now Hans Christian Andersen is a very famous author, a very impactful author actually. I think he'd done like so many books, but Hans Christian Andersen again was put through the same criteria and said that he had autism. So I always find that the Hans Christian Andersen one was very interesting, because it's nice to see authors being kind of on the autism spectrum and things like that, because a lot of autistic people do have issues with reading and writing, so that was kind of cool. Okay, so number 4 is Charles Darwin, who is actually a very famous philosopher and a famous scientist, and he kind of came up with that whole kind of theory of evolution and the fittest survive and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Charles Darwin, absolute legend of a guy, and just all around proper gangster. He was awesome. Okay, so number 5 is Thomas Jefferson. Now Thomas Jefferson is an early influential American politician, and he was just absolutely just crazy and just came up with all this kind of crazy stuff. But he was very influential, he was very intense, he was very intellectual, and had some great insight into things, especially American politics. It was kind of like his thing. So of course, when they said he was on the spectrum, and I do believe them from the things I've read about Thomas Jefferson, and he's quite interesting. Okay guys, number 6 is Andy Warhol. Now Andy Warhol is a very famous photographer, probably like the most influential photographer of all time, and he was so artistically creative but also bizarre, and because of this it led him to be looked upon as being someone who'd be on the autism spectrum if he was put through the diagnostic criteria. And Andy Warhol is just a very very famous photographer who was just super influential. I think like he's probably the most influential photographer ever, I think. You know, his art is just insane. Okay guys, number 7 is Nikola Tesla, obviously an amazingly clever scientist. Nikola Tesla is the reason we have electric going through grid systems at the certain currents that they are in, and he's just amazing. Fantastic guy, very odd guy, but very fantastic. And of course he had every single trait of autism you could think of, and just very clever guy, but very troubled also. Okay, number 8 is an interesting one. This is Steve Jobs. Now, Steve Jobs is the creator of Apple, for Apple Macintosh computers, and he, along with a guy called Steve Wozniak, set it up, but now it was just like Steve Jobs till the end, until he passed away, sadly. But Steve Jobs was a very eccentric man, very interesting, couldn't hold down relationships, had to wash his feet before going on stage. I actually remember seeing the documentary, sorry, it wasn't a documentary, it was a film documenting his life, but it was like a reenactment, and he like washed his feet in the toilet bowl before going on stage because he just had to wash his feet, which was just an interesting guy, quite bizarre but interesting. But he was terrible at relationships and didn't have any emotion. It was all about his work, and definitely on the autism spectrum, and this has been speculated for a very, very long time. Okay, so number 9 is Lewis Carroll. Now he again is a very famous children's book author from a long time ago, but Lewis Carroll displayed all of the hallmarks of an autism spectrum disorder, which led people to believe that like now Lewis Carroll would be diagnosed with an autism spectrum condition. Okay, so last but not least on my list here is number 10, Stanley Kubrick. Now Stanley Kubrick was the movie director for 2001: Space Odyssey, and just the whole thing. Like I think he also did The Shining with Stephen King, but Stanley Kubrick is just a very influential, very, very talented creative director of movies and stuff like that. And again, his intense kind of quirks and his differences and the way he thinks really put him on line to being seen upon as being an autistic person, which is just absolutely fantastic, and I think he's awesome. So yeah, that's really interesting. Now if you guys have anyone else to add to this list that you think I've missed off, pop it in a comment down below, why not? If you liked this video and you thought it was fun, please share it on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time guys. Peace.